of your concerns, and I echo a lot of your concerns. Let me just ask, I hope, a loaded question. Raise your hand if you love the physical plant of Galesburg High School. Raise it higher, Brett. There's one. I found one.
Oh, you mean the layout of the building?
The current creature comforts, the layout, the doors, the acoustics.
You think it's the perfect educational facility.
I just love it. But even like, I mean, you love it.
It's a high school.
There you go.
I went to school in Los Angeles, so this is, to me, it's a school.
Okay. So there you go. We have 2 out of 60.
No,
right?
you don't have 2 out of 60 because it is a great school. I mean, I went there.
We're not talking about the quality of education you get.
No.
We're talking about the facility.
That's it. I don't see any problem with it.
Okay.
Personally, I don't.
You didn't raise your hand.
Well,
Question.
Yeah, you said, do you love it? I mean,
the point I'm making is Galesburg High School is 60 years old. Okay.
Yeah, I went there. I graduated 69.
Good job.
Good job. We feel that it needs some upgrades. Okay.
Yeah.
The architects will tell you it needs some upgrades. That the regional office of education will tell you it needs some upgrades. We feel like that facility, which was stated before, that's the one facility every child in Galesburg goes to. Okay. So we would love to figure out a way to improve that facility, and looking at it pragmatically. Okay. We have this window of opportunity that we, one, have to do something because this ROE/state is telling us we have to. And 2, we have the bonding authority right now to do it. All right. If we just do the invisible fixes, which yes is still an option. Okay. If we just do the 40 million total, 17 million at Galesburg High School, in addition to all the other things and all the other buildings. Okay. We can do that, but I don't believe that's, and I would say the board doesn't believe that that's the best decision long-term for the school district. Because 10 years from now Galesburg High School is 70 years old. Now Churchill's 70 years old. And we were able to put the bonding authority out there to fix the invisible stuff. And 10 years from now, those buildings are going to be worse. And we've still got another 20 years before we can really have a lot of money available to fix them up. Okay, so now those buildings are getting to 100 years old, and we then will have the ability, I won't be here, there'll be somebody else doing this, but somebody's gonna have to try to figure out how to fix up a 100-year-old building. And at that point, who knows what, we're trying to do the responsible thing for now and the future. And that's a difficult thing, and everybody has a different opinion, and that's why we're here. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong, we're just trying to do what we think is best going forward. Yes, Nancy.
Talking about Galesburg High School, because, it is, it's where I live. I'm there 12 hours a day, every day, and in a lot of different spaces. And you asked to raise hands, and I'm glad you did, because I can't. I'm in the worst room in the world. I'm in the hottest room with not a real door, that's not a real lock. The kids, one time we were doing an active shooter thing, lockdown, a drill, and the kids said, what if there was really an active shooter? And I told them, actually, we're good, because this is an old storeroom, and nobody's gonna come in here. They don't think it's a real classroom. I'm really kind of in an old library closet where books were stored, is really the room I'm in right now. So I'm all for that, and it's hot. I have the hottest room in the entire school. I don't know if that's true, but it feels like it. and I'm old and really sweaty, and it's what...
Stiegel will argue.
She'll debate. Yeah, she'll debate. That whole it's that whole upstairs, south, oh my gosh, second floor, oh, it's awful. And we're just really hot. And I don't like the cafeteria, I never have it. I don't like having events in the cafeteria. And I hate the auditorium, don't get me wrong. Everything that you said, the acoustics is terrible. The seating is awful. We need new lighting. We need new sound. We need new seats. We need new carpet. We need a new pit. The whole thing it's old. We need less mold in the basement. We need more storage. The whole thing. Actually, several years ago, there was a fire, and I said, oh, "No, there's a fire in the auditorium." And I went, "Yay, there's a fire in the auditorium! Hallelujah!" And it was enough to have some smoke damage that kept me out of there for a week, and that was it. I'm totally with you on that. It does totally need it updated. It needed updated 10 years ago when they promised they were going to update it.
Right, Nancy, let me swing in right there. Because I've got to go to another meeting, so you guys can see me walk out here. About 3 years ago, I ran for school board. And when I did, one of the main things I heard from people consistently, parents, people not involved in the education system, and teachers. Because I heard from a lot of teachers, that's why I ran, because a lot of teachers asked me to run. They said, you know, why in the world did we spend all that money on those athletic facilities? Look at all that money we spent. Why didn't we dump money into the schools themselves? Everybody up here agrees with that. Everybody up here agrees with that. Those athletic facilities are beautiful. Is that the way I probably would have done it? No. Is that the way Dr. Asplund would have done it? No. Is that the way Tiana would have done it? No. But it was done. Now I want to address the schools. Our teachers need better working environments. They just do. Nancy, your story isn't unique.
No, it's not. No. Like I said, I fight with Mandy, but she has like her real classroom. It's just really hot. And she has a little door.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
My wife has worked in that building. My friends have worked in that building. It's not a conducive work environment for a lot of people. Brett, maybe you love it.
Well, it's an open-ended question.
Yeah. And I had a discussion with Dr. Asplund a couple months ago. We were in a room talking about all this stuff, and I said, I must be the only one that really likes the high school.
I love the high
Because
school.
I do like it, but
I do.
we've got to give a better working environment for the teachers there. We've got to give a better learning environment for the students. We have got to update things. And when we talk about all these other schools, you know, one of the things I tell people when I talk about this is, I don't think Silas is the most beautiful school. I would have designed it differently. But I think that every elementary student in Galesburg ought to have the opportunity to go to a school that nice, that modern, that comfortable.
Thank you.
That's why we're doing this. Because it shouldn't matter what neighborhood you live in.
Yes, yes it does.
Every
Yes,
student
it
should
does.
have the exact same opportunity, and that's what we're trying to do here. And no, I would prefer just build 5 new Silases. That's unrealistic. I asked the architect the other day when we were meeting, I said, why can't I just build my dream high school? He said, well, I just built your dream high school in another place. It was $70 million. We don't have $70 million to build the dream high school.
But I guess I want to finish my thought is that even though I don't like the auditorium because it's old and it's cranky and it's, you know, drafty and echoey, but I don't want a space where we can't do real theater.
I don't either.
You know,
I don't either.
That's my concern. That's why I can't. Not the only reason.
And Russ, I have concerns just like you. In our private meetings, I've expressed to everyone up here, I'm queasy about the whole 7th through 12th. And if we go forward with this, I want to make sure, people have to understand, we're not talking about sending 7th graders and 8th graders to the high school. We're talking about building a whole new space, basically, that they would be in. And yes, it's not just my concern, it's every board member's concern. We don't want the 7th graders and 12th graders mingling on a regular basis. And people, but you know what? In towns all over this country, we have K through 12 on the same campus.
Jason, how does Galesburg North and Galesburg High School exist at this point?
Okay, I mean, we miss our old building, but we're making it work.
No, I understand that, but as far as co-mingling, how is that going in real life?
They're all our students, so we have kids that take classes in high school, and we actually have some high school kids that come down and take classes with us, so we're making it work.
They have a separate entrance, right? So.
Well, I think that's completely different too, because they're all high school kids. They're not junior high kids.
Understood, but I'm just saying, at this point, when we closed Rose Holben, the intention was to keep those students segregated. And is that a reality or not?
Yes, it is. It works really well when they need it to be.
Well, I would say to be fair,
But I would like
Jason
to
can segregate the kids that are never going to the high school. I mean, that there are kids that depends on their situation.
I would like to address the fact that you said it doesn't make any difference about what school you go to. That's because, yeah, he just said that.
He said it should.
Shouldn't make any difference.
Right.
But it does. There is an underrepresented bunch of people that have apathy in this city that aren't here. And those people have issues also, but they're never addressed.
Oh, I know.
Now see, because I'm old enough to know the problem that we had with busing. I remember when they wanted to bus kids all over the city and how hard people fought to keep from busing. Well, you know, the same kids that had schools in their neighborhoods that people didn't want to bus them to, every single one of them kids now is being bused to another neighborhood. Everybody that lives on the south side of the main street is going to be bused. I do not believe that anybody.
So will some of the north side kids.
Hang on, let me finish. See what I'm saying? Let me finish. Here's the point. I have a big problem with busing K through 5 to start with. I do not think that we have thought about the problems or the issues that can happen to a kindergarten through 5th grade kid in the wintertime, in the heat time, just walking from their house to a bus station to be waiting there without supervision. I know the school system in the code of conduct says that once a child leaves their house, if they have a problem and get in a fight or something, the school board, the school system can have jurisdiction on them to be able to do stuff. So does that jurisdiction continue when, if something happens to my kindergartner walking to school, is the school gonna be liable for if they're actually really, really hurt? And every kid that is on the south side of town is gonna be bused except the ones that are in. I'm not saying the people on the north side aren't gonna be bused. That's not the problem. But I have the ability to take my kids to school. I know parents on the south side of town don't have that ability. So they're gonna have to have their kids bused. I know parents on that side of town, except for the kids that go live in Cedar Creek Place, those kids are the only kids on the south side of town that can walk to school anymore. Whereas, you know, it's just we had a whole bunch of money. And this is a dead horse, but I'm still gonna have to at least whack it one time.
Okay.
We owned a whole city block. We sold that, if I'm correct, you can correct me, for $270 million, $270,000. That block was bigger than the system or the place that you put Silas Willard on, and we spent $1 million for a parking lot. And you can't, I remember, I think the building was $500,000. How much did it cost to build the parking lot?
Oh, the one we just built,
yeah.
$250,000.
Okay, so with the price of the building that we bought, to tear it down and put a parking lot, close to $1 million?
No, they owned that for quite some time.
But the city bought it. I remember when it was a grocery store.
Right.
Yeah, it was Giants in the city bought. But so, as I look at it, I see how much money we spent on a parking lot. It ends up on a parking lot. But we had the whole area of Cook School that we could have built a nice school in. So when you said that it doesn't make any difference, or we should have schools like that, Silas Willard, everywhere, I believe that too. We should. We should have had it where Cook School was at. That's the dead horse. Can't beat it no more. It's already beat up. But the thing is,
John, we can only deal with the cards we're dealt.
I understand that. But the point of it is that there's an underrepresented amount of people that live on the south side of town. Then I seen the video of the other people. I'm the only person of color that's been here in these 2 meetings. There are people that have apathy that believe that no matter what happens, the city and people are going to do what they want to do because of the people that are affluent being able to speak up. And so, to me, I want to represent those people that don't have that voice. If I was, if I had a child that was a kindergarten, I would be very, very upset that my kindergarten through 5th grader is going to have to be bused. I would be very upset about that. And if I didn't have a wife that's working and I work, if I have to go to work and she has to go to work, how does my kid get to school? And so there's a whole segment of something that nobody's just talked about. And I'm just having a problem with that, where the schools are gonna be located and how things are being done about the safety. And that's about safety of kindergartners through 5th grade to and from schools. You know, we can talk about the other stuff, but safety is paramount above, you know, having a comfortable class.
Absolutely.
I appreciate your comments, Dwight, but I'm gonna tell you that whether it's right or it's wrong, or and I would say that it's wrong. The one voice that sits at this table every month and every day in between that's talking about the disadvantages of the communities of color and the people on the south side of town, or people who have not had a voice sit at this table. That's the reason I ran. And I have those conversations all of the time, like to the point where I'm tired of being the person of color sitting at this table and being the one and the only one to bring it up in closed session, at a meeting with Dr. Asplin, with another board member, to say, wait a minute, what about? Wait a minute, what about? Wait a minute, what about? Now, do I understand your concern about safety? Yes. And do I believe that whatever option we have, we're gonna have to investigate that very thoroughly. But my main goal as a board member in the time that I've been here is to make sure that every student in this community has access to the same opportunities, that has teachers that believe in them the same way, that has support and is reaching out and talking to families the same way, whether they have money, whether they don't have money, whether their skin is white or their skin is not. And that's been my personal mission, probably to the most of people in the district, because that's been my push since I've been up here. Because my son went through this school, and I saw some of the things that he was affected by as a young man of color in this district that may have affected other people more, if not for the fact that I know how to advocate for my son, like you and Jody advocate for your daughters, right? Like, to be able to sit in a room and have a conversation with an educator and say, can we have a conversation about what just happened with my kid, because I don't think that that's right, right? To sit down with the principal and say, my son was called the N-word and I think we have to address that. To sit down and say, how come a student at Churchill, when I started sitting on this board, a student at Churchill was receiving 55 minutes of education to a Lombard student's 44 minutes of core education. That is not right. And by doing something like this, what we're hoping is to put equal resources in every school, so that no parent walks out of a school saying, my kid did not have the same opportunity as the kid that lived on the north side of town. I am so tired of hearing that in this school district. And I say that at every board meeting. If you cannot walk into your school, wherever that school is, and feel that your child is receiving an A+ education that's supported fully by the educators in that building, we have to have a conversation, because that is what they are there for. They are there to make sure that every student feels that they can do anything that they want to do, and that they're going to provide them the same opportunity that they would if my address was on Lincoln Park Drive.
I agree with you. That is not my issue.
Right. So the safety part.
Is not, no, my issue is that I wish somebody had addressed that. Why does they move all the schools to the? That's my issue.
Oh, I know.
That is really my issue. I have a real problem with that.
And that's why
every school that was moved out of the district where kids could walk to school, every school is moved away. Every school that I ever knew, that I ever went to, is moved away. And if we're thinking about the community, then let's put a school in this side of the community, let's put a school in that side of the community. And I'm not talking about a junior high and two junior high. I'm talking about a grade school in this side, grade school over here. So they feel like, so they really know that they're thinking of me. They're thinking of my children. I know my children can go across town and get a good education, but I got to go across town to get that education, because they didn't believe that I needed a school in my side or my part of town. That's what I'm really having an issue with all of this, because I've been here for 67 years. I've watched Silas, I watched Bateman, Nielsen, I've known Weston, God, there's schools that are gone that, Oak School, I mean, I remember all them old schools, you know, so I remember where schools were. And I watched them all slowly disappear. Because the newest school in the district was which one before they started building?
Well, most of those
Cook
schools
School was the
closed in
newest.
82.
No, Cook School.
1982 was when most of those schools closed, because that's when they closed 11 schools and they did them all at once.
But Cook School was still the newest school in the district. It was the newest school in the district.
Yes.
It supposedly, but if you listen to the older people, and I wish Emma Space was here, because she'd tell you about how the district built that school pitifully. There was only water in part of the building. The roof was built terrible. And we said, wait a minute, you guys are building a brand new school here, but you built it as shoddy as you could build it. And then you spent 25 years having people come in from all over the state deciding on how you guys are gonna close it. And I'm not saying you guys, but I'm talking about the school board. But I've watched all this, and I'm still watching us not have a community school on the south side of town. And we're building,
Just
and
so
we're agreeing.
I make sure I understand you, Dwight, the one thing I'm having trouble with, and it's probably just me. So under at least one of the scenarios, King stays open and Steele stays open. So am I missing something? I mean, we would be keeping open all the schools on the south side that are currently open, and Lombard's open in all of them. I mean, I'm just asking, am I missing something?
Yeah, you're sort of missing, because even I live probably, what, a mile, quarter mile, half mile from Steele. You know, my kids still have to be bused. When they went there, they had to be bused. You know why?
Hazardous route.
Huh?
Because a hazardous route?
Yeah, they have to cross railroad tracks.
One of the challenges in Galesburg, unfortunately, is that we have to bus a lot more students than other communities of similar size because of the railroads. And so they're hazardous routes that, because they're state highways and because of the railroad tracks.
I just wish I wish you would actually look at, now let's take the schools that are there here right now. You have, what's on the northwest side of town? What's the name of the school? Gale. Next school next to it is what? Silas? That's in the north middle. Let's take the next school. What's that one? Nielsen. That's on the northeast side of town. Now let's take this one, which used to be a great school. That's 4 schools. Now, name every school that's south of Main Street. Steele. That's on this corner. King. That's all the way on the other corner. Well, we got 4 schools.
Well, and Cook used to be there. If you're counting closed schools,
But
Cook would count.
But that's the point. The
If they
closed
count-
Cook School, which was the newest school, had the most room. I'm dead to beating that horse, but that's what I'm having problems with this whole thing. I'm having problems with.
Closing Gale, and the possibility is to close Nielsen, so that realistically, when you're looking at the home schools,
Yeah.
you're looking at Silas at the north side, then on the south side, you've got King, and then on the other corner, you've got Steele.
Yeah.
So,
And you have Lombard, because Churchill's
Yeah.
going.
but from K through 5, I mean, that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, well, I understand that, but that's the issue that I'm really interested in. And the next issue is I'm interested in the fact is that you're going to be busing K through 5 kids.
It's a question
And-
of geographic distribution.
Correct.
Along the plan.
Correct. And then on top of that is the safety of K through 5, because every parent can't take their kid to school. Every parent is not going to have that ability. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for little kids to be hurt to and from school, or in a myriad of ways. And I think there's just an issue with that I'm looking at.
I agree, that is an issue.
Thank you for letting me rant and rave, everyone.
When you're talking about the bonding, and how long are the bonds set for? Are there the
Varying
varying
degrees,
amounts?
typically they're 20 years, but there's others that are longer.
So you're looking at the possibility of 20 years before you could apply for?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Given all factors staying the same, yes, that would be roughly, yeah, 20 years. Russ or Eric?
One thought and one question. One thought, it's a shame that we're losing the property of Churchill. There's a lot of property there, and it's a great location. I understand we may have to do what we have to do, but it would be a shame to close that, and I suspect that it could very well be quickly bought up by a private school and another high school opens there.
Only if we sell it to them.
That's true.
And if we don't
But
sell it,
if the price is right, we'd be hard not to sell. But the point being, it's a fantastic location, a great property. There's a lot of square footage there. It's a shame to lose that property. And the other thing, I know when we built or worked on steel and built Silas, we made great plans, and then suddenly somebody said, oh, we can't use any life safety monies to pay for cabinets and new student desks and all these other things. Do these numbers include new furnishings?
They do include FF&E, yes.
Okay, I just didn't want to see us make that mistake again.
Yes, ma'am. I'll get
I
you here.
just have an observation. I'm an old person, obviously. I was in the first graduating class, the first year that graduated from the new Galesburg High School. And let me tell you, our class thought we had the berries. It was a beautiful school. And now when I hear all of the things that are wrong, in my mind, I find this hard to believe. But over and above that, just sitting here tonight, it's the educators who are here, it's the administration who is here, it's the board people who are here. Where are all of the parents who should be?
Right over here.
Okay, some of you are one of the same. But think about, what do we have in this district? 4,500 kids or something like that?
4,300, 4,200.
Okay, we have a lot of parents that apparently don't care where their kids go to school. They're letting a few people make a decision about where their child's going to school, and they don't care.
They'll tell you on Facebook
Oh, yeah.
They don't come to the meetings.
And if it's on Facebook, it's gotta be free, right?
I also think there are people who are contacting and have made contacts to board members who maybe aren't here.
And that could be true.
You know, I mean, just because they're not physically, I think there are a lot of people that care, as we can tell in here. I'm a retired teacher. I taught in this district 35
But
years.
you have-
I hate that we're closing Churchill from a sentimental thing. I think there's a lot of things we could do to that building to save it and still use it. I'm not sure it's the, but we've come up with options. We're losing enrollment. And I think a lot of people feel very passionately about it, even if they're not sitting here, they are contacting people. Because my guess is some of the board members have been getting a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls, and I sat in a board meeting and I listened to them talk when the first plans were pointed out. And I know people are upset that they haven't seen all 5 plans. Listening to them talk about why they got rid of the 2 plans made perfect sense to me. And I want to thank those that were still here, because they were fighting for the not changing the auditorium. They were fighting for what was best for the kids. And I know you guys get a lot of grief, and on social media, people are saying, get rid of them. They're bad. They're fighting for them, and I have not always agreed with the school board.
What?
But these guys, after sitting and listening to them, I appreciated what they were thinking about.
Oh, I think they're doing their job.
So-
I'm just saying, I think there's a lot of parents
Yeah, and I
that
think
should
they're-
be here.
But I think there's also parents who can't be here, but they're contacting them.
This is an awkward time for a parent to be here.
Yeah.
We have a 7-year-old who, luckily, we have a support structure at home that allows them to be with grandma and grandpa tonight. But I can't tell you how many board meetings that we have to miss, how many of these things we have to miss, because we have a kid at home that has dinner and bedtime at 7 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, at 5 o'clock. So it's not just because they're uninterested. I think there are a lot of people that, because of the times of these meetings, no offense, we just can't always be here. We try to be at as many as we can, and we watch them on YouTube now. Thank you for that, by the way. That is awesome. so we can be a part of the conversation, but we just can't always be here. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people that don't have a support structure that will allow them to be there all the time.
And I think when you talked about you had people who felt they didn't have a voice, part of that, they may feel that way, but they need to step up and call somebody and talk to somebody so their voice can be heard, even if they can't make it to the meeting. To send a letter, do something, voice it the best way they can, because if they, I can understand why they think, well, they won't listen to me, but they gotta try.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you an example of something that happened to me personally when we were doing Cook School. Deborah Harris was the president of the board. You know, Emma Sargent was speaking. She had the podium. And we use Robert's Rules of Order, correct?
We tried.
I'm gonna show you what happened here. I'm gonna show you how apathy comes about. I give my time to her. You know, they said, no, we can't do that. I said, don't you use Robert's Rules of Order? They said, yeah, but we're not using it today. After the meeting was over, Deborah and this other gentleman, I can't remember his name, he came up to me and said, oh, we're sorry, we apologize. You were right. Now, when those things happen, they knew I was right in the beginning. She had a legitimate argument. She had everything laid out to give to the board, and they want to do what they were going to do. Sometimes people look at things and you say, well, that's not quite right. Or I'm not saying these guys don't work hard. I'm guarantee you. So I might not want their job myself. But when I asked to go in the military, and I'm getting shot at, well, they know that's a hard job. But I accepted that. That's what I have to do. But the point is that there's still a segment of people that feel like they are defeated. Their voice doesn't count. It doesn't make any difference what people say.
I don't think it has to be by color.
Everybody.
I think there are people who are economically disadvantaged who also feel they don't.
I have a pair of brown slip-on shoes on, and you can't tell me how they feel because I have them on. You have a different pair on. So everybody has, even though it might not sound good, but everybody's shoes fit different.
I understand that.
So I understand what you're saying, but in the same hand, there are people that don't believe it. When we just rode by Steel School, the first thing came in my mind is that they just pulled out structure, and that's what the kids call it today, playground. They just pulled out a playground that's 5 years old, put a brand new playground in. They moved it over there to the left-hand side on the east side. So now they already got a plan to where they could add on to that, and they pulled out that structure. That's what went through my mind. That might not be what happened. That might not be what they done. But that's what went through my mind. How come you pull out a brand new, and it's 5 years old, because they were there, they put them in when my kids went there. You pulled them out of the middle, it was in the middle section. They pulled those out, got rid of them, put a brand new bunch of structure on the east side of the building. Now they got room to build on the steel. So to me, my mind said, they already got plans. They already started this construction already. No matter whether these plans are up, my mind could be wrong. It definitely could be wrong, but that's what through my mind. And I guarantee you, I can find 15 other people on that portion of town that says, see, they don't make any difference what we do. They already started the program. But I'm just saying.
If you want to address that, you are wrong.
Okay, I mean, I could be wrong, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that was taken out because it wasn't safe, and we put it in another flat spot, so that had nothing to do with that. I'm not saying you're wrong for thinking it, past is prologue here, Dwight, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I just want to address that.
Okay, it's fine, it's fine. But I mean, there's people that I've had that have talked about that already. And so why come to a board meeting? Why ain't call anybody? They're gonna do what they're gonna do anyway. So, and that's what it is. But that's just the fact that happens. And sometimes those things need to be addressed. I don't know how to address them unless you just knock on their door. Now, I got the survey, but I got it through NAACP. My wife never got the survey. When it was
Sent out through Skyward.
well, we didn't know that. It was sent right to, it was sent
Everybody's
to me.
email address that we had.
Okay. So,
I would like to think that tonight has a lot to do, I would really like to think this to do in your minds on if you make a decision between Nielsen and King on why King would be the right decision to do that. I lived on Knox when I was a kid. I went to King, I went to Lombard, and it was nice to be able to walk to school in the morning and walk here. And I won't even go the other direction and say that my wife and I didn't buy the house that we bought in town because of where it was in proximity to Silas and Churchill. So I can see both sides of that. We bought where we bought, well, it's an awesome house. It's got great hardwood floors. I don't mow the lawn as much as I should, but we love the house. But it ticked all the boxes, It was a place where my daughter could walk to school, like in both directions. She looks forward because when she can walk to school, I give her a phone. So I mean, everybody loves the scenario. But I grew up in a different place, and I get that. And I get the fact wherever you are in town, being able to walk to school and being safe is important. In my particular situation, my daughter's probably going to end up pretty lucky in the sense that she's going to get to go to Silas in a scenario where it's just Lombard. Well, now I have to consider those driving factors, and I talked about a support structure, and we have that, and not everybody is fortunate to have that. But we also have what the school is providing is PALs. So maybe the Y provides it, but at the school system is a place where my wife and I drive our daughter to PALs in the morning, and she's able to play with friends. She has a structure there. She can have breakfast. And those are things that we can do before school that don't make us have to have her ride a bus.
I understand.
And I get that. I do. And Lombard will be further than what Churchill would be for us. There's just no way around that. We got to do something. I will wholeheartedly agree that if you guys take anything away from this tonight, make it something on the other side of town so that everything doesn't nestle right up here to the north side, in whatever that means. If Nielsen sucks for the structure of picking up and dropping off, King, there's a lot of real estate out there. If for no other reason, that makes sense. But if for a neighborhood reason, now we do have King, Lombard. Boy, Steele is just in a bad spot.
Yeah, it's crazy picking your kids up at Steele.
Driving.
It's crazy.
So we can spread those things across town. Nobody's going to win. Nobody's going to absolutely 100% lose. But we can't. My wife works at a school that's going to close, man. I mean, like, if I could advocate, keep these things open, I would do that because I know she loves her building, and I know she loves her kids, and I know she loves her neighborhood, and I know where we are.
Well, okay.
So
yeah, I agree. I understand what you're saying. But I was here at a board meeting one time, a disciplinary hearing for friends of mine, and this girl had got in trouble, and they had to decide what they were going to do for her. And the mom, the grandmother, and the young lady was here, and the school board said, well, if you guys can get her to Bridgeway tomorrow, get her evaluated, we'll get her right back into school. And I said, that's a great idea. How are they going to get them there? Well, they drive them. I said, did you ask how they got here today? They looked at me like they drove. No, they didn't even own the car. They'd take a cab. So somebody's different shoes that they're wearing might put them in a real rough place, and that's what I'm trying to convey. That somebody, what I might think is normal, some other people, I just talked to a young man today in high school. He just moved in from Chicago last year. His family doesn't have a car. So those are things that we kind of miss when we talk about what we're doing in the school system and how we're going to get here and not get there. You know, you guys are a married couple. We are. How many single moms are there? And how they're going to, you know, have we thought about just the simple fact that there's a single mom trying to get a kindergarten in school. I wonder if she's got a job. I wonder what time she has to be there. So those things that I'm hoping the school board looks at and considers when they're making these moves. You know, so that's what I'm trying to bring. I'm not trying to bring in any racial, but I still feel like they moved them all to the north side of town. Why the heck is that? But there's other little nuances that are important.
I'll make sure she's had her hand up over there. So,
Sorry. I know that, you know, we're all here, we all have opinions, board, teachers, staff, parents. Does anybody talk to the kids and how they feel? What are their opinions? What do they want? What do they need?
when we went through the 13 meetings last year, we did junior high and high school. We did not go to the elementary. And so we went from that route to try to determine what the needs of the community was. From the facility point, at this point, we have not.
Because I feel their voice is the ones that are being missed, because they're the ones that are going to be affected the most.
Yes, ma'am.
So I lived here like 8 years, and I'm from a place where, well, I just have like a very varied educational background. Like I was homeschooled sometimes. I'm from Milwaukee. I was homeschooled. I went to public school sometimes. I went to private school, and basically sometimes I took the bus a very far distance